horrors that Hamas perpetrated on October 7th remind us that we will not realize the promise of a better future unless we, the civilized world, are willing to fight the barbarians. Because the barbarians are willing to fight us. And their goal is clear. Shatter that promising future. Destroy all that we cherish. And usher in a world of fear and darkness. Since October 7th, Israel has been at war. Israel did not start this war. Israel did not want this war. But Israel will win this war. Hamas launched this war by perpetrating the worst savagery our people have seen since the Holocaust. Hamas murdered children in front of their parents, murdered parents in front of their children. They burned people alive. They raped women. They beheaded men. They tortured Holocaust survivors. They kidnapped babies. They committed the most horrific crimes imaginable. And they're part of the axis of evil that Iran has formed, an axis of terror that works by arming, training, and financing Hamas in Gaza, Hezbollah in Lebanon, the Houthis in Yemen, and other terror proxies throughout the Middle East and beyond the Middle East. In fighting Hamas and the Iranian axis of terror, Israel is fighting the enemies of civilization itself. Victory over these enemies begins with moral clarity. It begins with knowing the difference between good and evil, between right and wrong. While Israel is doing everything to get Palestinians, civilians, out of harm's way, Hamas is doing everything to keep Palestinian civilians in harm's way. Israel urges Palestinian civilians to leave the areas of armed conflict, while Hamas prevents those civilians from leaving those areas at gunpoint. Hamas is also preventing foreign nationals from leaving Gaza altogether. And most despicably, Hamas is holding over 200 Israeli hostages, including 33 children, holding them, terrorizing them, keeping them as hostages. Every civilized nation should stand with Israel in demanding that these hostages be freed immediately and freed unconditionally. I want to make clear Israel's position regarding a ceasefire. Just as the United States would not agree to a ceasefire after the bombing of Pearl Harbor or after the terrorist attack of 9/11, Israel will not agree to a cessation of hostilities with Hamas after the horrific attacks of October 7th. Calls for a ceasefire are calls for Israel to surrender to Hamas, to surrender to terrorism, to surrender to barbarism. That will not happen. Today we draw a line between the forces of civilization and the forces of barbarism. It is a time for everyone to decide where they stand. Israel will stand against the forces of barbarism until victory.
Como daño colateral también mueren algunos palestinos inocentes que no están involucrados en estos ataques terroristas contra Israel. Pero al final de la cuenta, la responsabilidad es de sus líderes, los terroristas, los líderes de Hamas y del Jihad Islámico. Nuestra responsabilidad como Estado, como cualquier Estado, es sobre la vida de nuestros ciudadanos que fueron asesinados, matados y fueron expuestos a otras atrocidades. A ustedes quizás les cuesta entenderlo. Ustedes ven las imágenes de el sufrimiento en Gaza, pero por favor les pido, no olviden cómo empezó eso el 7 de octubre. Eso nos da la justificación y la legitimidad completa de hacer lo que estamos haciendo en Gaza, porque ustedes en Perú o en cualquier otro país hubiesen hecho lo mismo por lo menos.
But it's really rightfully ours if you look at the history and at like the wars, and we didn't even start a lot of the wars. We conquered these places rightfully, like it's ours.
1,400 years later, we come back. Now, I'm not saying that we can blame the people living here for what happened, but you gotta accept that that's some kind of divine justice, that their great-great-great-great-grandfathers kicked my great-great-great-grandfather out of here, and then we come back.
I think that the Jews came here, they took this land, and this is our land now, and I don't think there should be here no Arabs. Like Arabs, they want, we gave them Gaza, they should go live there quietly if they want, they should go back to Iraq, I don't know, to wherever they want. But this is a place that God gave it to the Jews, and we don't want the Arabs to be here.
ילד הוא ילד, אם הוא ביישובי העוטף או בעזה עצמה. ועם הכאב וההלם צריך וחובה להזכיר שבינתיים יותר מ-900 ילדים נהרגו בהפצצות על עזה. 56 משפחות עזתיות, אוכלוסייה ערבית, רואים וחווים את הכאב האנושי.
אנחנו לא רצינו את הדמוקרטיה. אין סימטריה. אין סימטריה. אז אין סימטריה. והילדים בעזה